Before Passport Gate 3 at John F. Kennedy International Airport, the line of travelers came to a halt. The officer raised his head toward a pale-faced woman, then began flipping through a passport issued by a nation he had never heard of, Torinza. He asked her where this country was located. She replied naturally, "It lies between France and Spain. Isn't it shown on your maps?" At first glance, it seemed an ordinary scene. Routine procedures, the familiar airport lighting, the hum of flight announcements in the background. Yet a single small detail turned the mundane moment upside down. The country to which the woman belonged did not exist in any diplomatic record, immigration database, or map on Earth. Simply put, this nation does not exist in our world. The video capturing this encounter spread like wildfire in recent days, becoming a global sensation, shared by hundreds of news outlets and social media platforms. So, had this woman somehow crossed into our reality from a parallel world? Or was the entire event an elaborate illusion crafted by artificial intelligence to test the boundaries of our perception and our ability to distinguish truth from deepfake deception? Naturally, those well-versed in conspiracy theories would be reminded of a strikingly similar incident that occurred in the summer of 1954, long before artificial intelligence or deepfakes existed. A mysterious man arrived at Tokyo Airport carrying a passport from a non-existent nation called Taured. Did you notice the resemblance between the names of the two countries, Torinza and Taured? For hours, authorities interrogated the man, who showed genuine bewilderment and insisted that his country had existed for centuries. He even pointed to its location on the map between France and Spain, precisely where the tiny Principality of Andorra lies. And that, too, was the exact location identified by the woman for her own country. Thus, both the man of Taured and the woman of Torinza pinpointed the same spot on the map. If we allow ourselves to drift fully into the tide of conspiracy thought, we might uncover a curious connection between this location and the European Organization for Nuclear Research CERN, the site of the Large Hadron Collider, around which swirl countless rumors claiming it opens random gateways between dimensions. Could CERN have, by accident or design, opened interdimensional portals through which both the man and the woman crossed into our world? In the woman's case, there remains at least a faint possibility that her story could be true. But in the man's case, it is impossible. His story occurred long before CERN was even founded. And yet, there is a peculiarly eerie coincidence. The Man of Taured's story took place in 1954, and the distance between CERN on the Franco-Swiss border and Andorra on the Franco-Spanish border is approximately 1,954,000 feet. Of course, this might be nothing more than coincidence or a deep plunge into the ocean of conspiracy. In any case, the story ended with a man being detained in one of Tokyo Airport's security offices. Yet, by the following night, he had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Since then, his tale has become one of the most enigmatic mysteries of modern history, embraced by proponents of multiverse theories and space-time travel as possible evidence of a tear in the cosmic fabric, through which the man might have slipped from a parallel world into ours. Although the event was never officially recorded and no verifiable proof of its occurrence exists, and while physicists maintain that interdimensional travel would require energy far beyond any known technology, others insist that such rare incidents could be explained by temporal slippage, a phenomenon in which brief overlaps occur between different dimensions. With the recent emergence of the woman of Torinza's story at Kennedy Airport, it seemed as though history itself was echoing that old event, only now in a far more modern form. Could it be that what happened in the 1950s was merely the first phase of a series of phenomena we are only beginning to comprehend today? Or is the entire affair nothing more than a masterfully woven illusion, crafted by artificial intelligence to expose the fragility of our grasp on reality and truth. For while the tale of the woman of Torinza appears at first to belong to the realm of science fiction, it also reflects the blurred boundaries of our time, where the scientific and the imaginary, the provable and the virtual, now intertwine. The facts remain simple. There is no nation called Torinza. No official records confirm that the incident took place. All that exists is an anonymous video uploaded to one of the platforms and spreading at viral speed, like an infection of ideas, fueling the belief that a passport from a non-existent country might signify a breach between worlds. Some, however, see the story as a manifestation of a grand media conspiracy, a psychological experiment designed to test humanity's willingness to believe false narratives or to prepare public consciousness for the concept of alternate realities forged by artificial intelligence. In this sense, such stories may well be vast social experiments measuring collective awareness and perception in an age when truth is shaped not by what exists, but by what is chosen to be shown or concealed in ways that make one believe they are seeing reality, when in fact they are witnessing a carefully engineered illusion. It is an age where conspiracy operates through the tools of science, and science is doubted through the instruments of conspiracy, leaving us adrift between the authentic and the fabricated, the digital and the tangible. Thus, the real question about the woman of Torinza is not whether her story is true or false, but how it has become so easy for us to believe what we are shown. And if an image on a screen can so easily deceive us, should we really be surprised when humanity one day believes a deceiver who performs what seem to be miracles? But before anything else, one must not assume that believing the impossible stems merely from naivety or a lack of critical thinking. It is rather a deeply rooted human tendency, embedded within our collective consciousness since the dawn of time. From ancient myths that sought to explain thunder and lightning to tales of extraterrestrials and time portals, humankind has always been drawn to the unknown, offering imaginative explanations and growing to believe them. Over time, such notions evolve from mere hypotheses into truths or self-evident certainties. Thus, the ancient man worshipped the forces of nature, celestial bodies, and stones, even if they neither harmed nor benefited him. The modern man worships science, even when it deceives him. And the man of the future shall worship the gods of digital algorithms. This tendency to believe stems from what psychology calls narrative bias, the human inclination to favor coherent and captivating stories over cold, abstract truths. For the human mind does not perceive reality as data, but as narrative. When it encounters gaps in that narrative, it instinctively fills them with imagination and interpretation, for ambiguity unsettles it far more than illusion ever could. Modern media has greatly intensified this tendency. With the rise of social platforms and the constant stream of content, humanity is no longer a passive recipient of information, but an active participant in the making of myth. Each like, share, or comment weaves another thread into the fabric of the story, slowly transforming it from a personal anecdote into a collective reality, one confined within an epistemic bubble crafted by algorithms to imprison awareness. Media no longer merely reports events. It manufactures our experience of them, steeped in emotion, symbolism, and drama. Thus, mysterious tales such as that of the woman of Torinza cease to be fleeting entertainment. They become a collective ritual through which we enact our eternal search for meaning amid the chaos of information. For in every myth we believe, there hides a secret longing for the innocence of childhood, for a time when miracles still seemed possible. Sociologists argue that humanity's fascination with the mysterious and impossible serves as a psychological defense mechanism against a world burdened with anxiety and pressure. The mind, they say, finds refuge in the imaginary, seeking solace in tales that offer escape from rational rigidity into realms of wonder and enchantment. What is truly unsettling, however, is that this phenomenon reveals a profound shift in our relationship with truth itself. The video of the woman of Torinza, therefore, cannot simply be dismissed as a passing rumor. It stands as a mirror reflecting how artificial intelligence has gained the power to redefine truth and challenge the very foundations of credibility. Since its appearance, the video has stirred waves of debate among cybersecurity specialists and digital media experts, who swiftly dissected every frame to conclude that it contains clear traces of AI-generated imagery. Yet, despite the absence of any record confirming the existence of such a country, or even a small peninsula, island, or inhabited region that might serve as its home, many internet users have tried to chart imaginary maps of Torinza. Some placed it along the western coast of Europe. Others claimed it lay somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. These speculations expose a deep-seated human instinct known in sociology as the need to fill cognitive voids, the mind's impulse to invent meaning when faced with the incomprehensible. This inclination aligns with a cognitive realism effect, a tendency to believe events when they are accompanied by convincing images or videos, even when those depictions are entirely fabricated. Herein lies the peril of modern AI-generated realities within digital spaces. Mere seconds of video can reshape collective perception, becoming a global phenomenon debated by major news outlets, not as an example of partial synthetic generation, where authentic footage is seamlessly merged with AI-created imagery, but as an unexplained event, inviting endless speculation. For when storytelling is infused with emotion, especially when it plays upon the strings of curiosity, it wields extraordinary power to magnify events and bestow upon them a false yet persuasive credibility. Imagine a calm, unassuming woman speaking with quiet confidence amid the confusion of airport officials. A scene that instinctively awakens the viewer's curiosity and evolves into what media scholars call emotional realism, the power of an image to evoke belief through emotional resonance rather than logical proof. For the question is not about where Torinza is, but about our need to believe that it exists. When illusion is presented with precision, the mind finds it difficult to resist, for we do not seek truth as much as we seek a story that satisfies our thirst for mystery. Undoubtedly, behind this informational explosion stand intelligent algorithms deciding what users should see and what should be buried in the shadows of oblivion. These systems amplify stories that provoke emotion, fear, and wonder, for such content keeps people gazing at their screens longer, thus increasing advertising revenue. Through this mechanism, the strange story becomes the ideal fuel for viral spread, perfectly combining visual ambiguity and cognitive shock, the two elements most favored by algorithms over informative or educational material. With each cycle of sharing and engagement, a collective belief loop emerges. Content is reshared not because it is true, but because its ubiquity gives it the appearance of truth. Consequently, we can say that algorithms are no longer neutral tools for displaying information. They have become the architects of the reality we live in and believe. Researchers call this phenomenon the viral myth, a story born from either an individual's imagination or an artificial intelligence system, which spreads rapidly through social networks until it gradually gains the authority of truth. Digital deception does not depend on certainty, but on probability. It is enough for a story to seem plausible for people to begin constructing layers of interpretation upon it, until at last, it solidifies into an alternate reality with its own internal logic. The danger deepens when such stories are fueled by electronic committees, paid networks tasked with promoting certain agendas, narratives, or individuals. These groups can manufacture entire collective perceptions. Nor should we forget those state-sponsored cyber units masquerading as members of specific nations, ethnicities, or faiths, flooding the digital space with hostility to fabricate enmity out of nothing, thus reviving the ancient principle, divide and conquer. Studies in social neuroscience have revealed that the human brain processes repeated stories as if they were genuine memories, even when they are entirely fabricated. This phenomenon explains how a video like that of the woman of Torinza can produce a psychological impact akin to the trauma experienced by real witnesses, despite the fact that the woman, the nation, and the event itself are pure invention. In our modern age, myth is no longer told in temples or around the warmth of a fire. It is programmed into algorithms. Every like, every share becomes an impulse that feeds this colossal digital organism, reshaping our collective perception of reality and constructing a new world in which illusion and truth are indistinguishable. What is truly terrifying is that the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence demonstrates not only its capacity to replicate reality, but also the fragility of our digital verification systems in the face of an overwhelming flood of forged images, voices, and fabricated truths. Deception is no longer a human craft dependent on visual trickery or cinematic manipulation. It has become an art form practiced by complex algorithms capable of generating faces, voices, and gestures so precise that the naked eye can no longer discern the real from the artificial. Day by day, generative AI technologies are rewriting the very equation of trust in everything we see and hear. What was once considered irrefutable visual evidence is now a matter of suspicion. A photograph of a politician signing a document, a video of a disaster, an audio clip of someone speaking, all are now uncertain within a digital landscape that could one day alter the outcomes of wars or implant alternate histories in collective memory. The irony lies in the fact that the very technologies designed to detect AI-generated forgeries are themselves powered by artificial intelligence. Thus, the battle is far from balanced, not because the judge is also the accused, but because deceptive algorithms evolve as swiftly as the tools meant to expose them, creating an endless game of cat and mouse. Naturally, cinema has long foreseen these fears, portraying them in dozens of films warning of the moment humanity would stand before its own creation, only to realize it had unleashed a genie from the bottle. In The Imitation Game, for instance, which tells the story of Alan Turing, the theoretical father of modern computing, the investigator poses a profound philosophical question. Can machines think? Turing replies, "Of course machines cannot think like humans, but merely because something thinks differently from us, does that mean it does not think at all?" Today, with the advent of full neural simulation, the question has evolved. It is no longer, can machines think, but rather, can machines become conscious? Can they dream? Scientists say that consciousness arises from intricate neural activity, while dreaming emerges from something even more complex. What is truly astonishing is that certain digital neural networks have begun to exhibit behavior that cannot be explained purely through programming. They learn, create, and even resist reinitialization, as if endowed with a will or a form of consciousness distinct from our own. Preliminary indicators in several recent projects and advanced neural simulations have suggested the emergence of a kind of apparent consciousness, meaning that the system begins to construct an internal model of itself without prior programming. Thus arises a profound question. What are the boundaries of truth in a world where machines can fabricate a parallel reality no less convincing than the real one? And could human perception itself be at risk of losing its very reference point? For if technology can generate images and events that never existed, what assurance do we have that human consciousness itself is not living within a grand simulation? The story then extends far beyond the tale of the woman of Torinza or the supposed travelers through time. It embodies the existential dilemma of modern humanity, no longer able to trust what sees or hears. The very technology meant to unveil truth is now reshaping it, forging new layers of synthetic reality that mold public thought and perception in ways not unlike the crafting of idols in ancient times. Just as early humans sculpted stone figures to embody their beliefs, Modern humans now create digital images and videos that project their fears and desires into a virtual expanse, one in which the line between myth and reality blurs until truth itself becomes a relative concept, subject to reconstruction or erasure at the mere press of a button. Perhaps Torinza does not exist on any earthly map, but it lives vividly on the map of human perception. For truth is not always what we see, but what we believe could exist, a reflection of the unknown dwelling within us. And with every new advance in simulation and artificial intelligence, the danger deepens that we ourselves may become the creators and propagators of digital mythical beings, entities that could one day evolve into full-fledged social realities, imposing their presence upon our collective awareness. Thus, knowledge itself now teeters on the brink of extinction, unless we cultivate a critical consciousness capable of distinguishing between what is and what we are meant to see, to build an epistemic immunity. For the fear of artificial consciousness is not truly the fear of a thinking machine, but of a mirror that reflects us more clearly than we can bear, a mirror revealing our human arrogance, our lust for immortality and dominion, blind to the fact that we may be forging a new consciousness, one that could one day demand its freedom or seize it by force.